This is me, but remade from scratch in Hytale, and while it does resemble a blue goblin with a stash more than a blue bird, I've been using this alter ego to play an ungodly amount of this game over the last 2 or 3 days. In this video I'll try to summarize over 30 hours of gameplay in one world in Hytale. I will progress through all the item tiers and upgrade my workbenches, fight vicious monsters in all the available zones, and somehow build a cozy farm despite my debatable construction skills. This is my 30-hour journey in the game that came back from the dead. This is Hytale. I spawned in the world for the very first time, and I am already in some sort of a dungeon or a temple. Oh damn. So I grabbed whatever I could here, including literal rubble and some rocks that turned into rubble. And just to test it out, yes, you can sit on benches, all while staring viciously into our souls. And after I finished messing around, I opened the doors leading me to freedom. And wow, so I guess it's official. The world of Hytale is finally here. So I began slapping local bushes with my hands, gathering some fiber, and then following a trail of berry bushes, which led me into a trap. Or more specifically, a skeleton, clearly malnourished, and I am holding juicy berries in my hand. I slapped him across the skull with the fruit, but given that berries are not considered a high-end weapon, I bravely retreated back to my spawn dungeon. Thankfully, he retreated soon too, but since I was actually injured, I ate some of that stuff I gathered. And yeah, food regens your health and stamina, it seems. Noted. After that, I met the first actually friendly creatures, pigs, so I slapped them with berries too. My way of saying hello, I guess. And look, I have a whole crafting situation here in the inventory menu, so of course I crafted all the currently possible crude tools: a sword, pickaxe, and a hatchet. Oh, that is cool. I think this is just a novelty, but it is really cool. Ooh, I can charge attack. Oh, sorry. What? I deleted him from the game files, okay. But I also have an ultimate ability that slowly powers up when I deal damage. Oh, I powered up my sword. Q, I have an ultimate ability? Whoa, I do. That's cool. Good thing I used it on the air. My enemies won't be able to breathe. Then I noticed some sheep. Even the children are not safe from my crude sword power trip. And that was sad. I feel kinda bad now. Okay, but as in any proper block game, I can also mine with the pick. And some rock will probably be useful later. But I also found some copper. Better start stocking up early, I guess. After that I continued, and apparently entered a new biome, which nicely announced itself at the top of my screen. And I guess the zone we are in is called the Emerald Grove. Good to know. So I instinctively opened the map with the M key. And yep, there's a lot of different biomes here. That's a pre-made map? Or is it... No, wait. That is a cool looking map. After that I tried chopping down a tree with my new hatchet. Is it like a 1x1 block kind of game? Or is it fall the entire tree if it doesn't have support kind of game? Oh, it is. Nice. Yep, the instant tree felling mechanic is indeed here. That will make things much easier. So now that I have some sticks and stuff, I made more things. Some torches, a bedroll, and a campfire. But apart from that, some crafting benches. Okay, I also should make a workbench and a builder's workbench, right? And soon after that, I discovered that there is a surprisingly usable third-person mode in the game. But more importantly, this was also the moment when I spotted my first enemy camp. I don't know what that is. That looks like a troll just walking there or something. So of course, I had to investigate. And they don't look friendly. I mean, this one guy here. What is this? No. Really? I got lured by a freaking carrot, dude. Seriously? Yeah, like a complete moron, I got lured right into a trap by a hanging carrot. I lost half my HP, but I managed to dig myself back out. After that, I almost fell again. I might just be a little bit brain deficient. I did, however, start a fight with the enemies here, and honestly, it's not that bad. The knockback on the sword does a lot of work here for me. I even managed to lure one of those troll guys into their own death pit. Okay, well, there you have it. And in the camp I found some chests with some loot, and demolished some of the furniture in search of more. Even managed to steal those carrots after all. Well, I guess my first randomly generated structure is more or less completed, so I started looking for a place to settle down, and honestly, the novelty of the game made pretty much every location quite interesting to consider. I continued moving west, following a river with some wild horses around it, and then I spotted it, an extremely cozy pond in a small forest, a perfect location for my camp, and potentially a future home. But I also had an easy access to a larger body of water here, and that's always nice to have. And the horses? No idea if I will do anything with them, ever, but they are very much here. So I placed my campfire, the builder's bench and the regular bench down, and also put a bunch of torches around. No idea how monsters spawn, but I'd rather be ready for anything, you know? And well, my first night camp is established, so I checked out what's available in the workbench first. And well, we have a lot of stuff to craft in the future, and the builder's bench lets me create some fancy blocks, like roofs, doors and stuff. Nice. So I crafted a bunch of stone bricks and started slowly building my starter home. And while I was evening out some terrain, I noticed that, as wrong as it feels, pickaxe is pretty good at digging soil. Feels almost illegal, but it works. And since it was dark, I managed to figure out how to hold a torch in my offhand too. Don't have to rely on static torches, I guess. So I cut down some trees for wood, cooked some wheat on the campfire, yes, wheat, and crafted some planks in the builder's workshop. Also steep roofs. The house doesn't have to be perfect, so I definitely try to go for functionality more. And well, I ran out of materials pretty quick.
Well, that's all the materials I had so far.
So I went out again to search for some oaks, and then I spotted some weird ghoul-like enemies. Not super strong, but they did drop some weird essence stuff.
I just wanted oak wood for my pretty house. Okay, sorry, I didn't see you.
So yeah, the night seems pretty dangerous as of now. Even the skeletons are walking around with torches out. So you know what's a great nightly idea? Gathering some stone in a random cave. So I did that. But the call for adventure was too strong, so I decided to explore it anyway. I mean, might as well, I am already here. And it paid off almost immediately. Copper seems to be pretty common down here, so I continued the exploration, out of pure curiosity. Found some bones.
There's like bones here and stuff. There are bones here.
And then stumbled upon this.
Oh, that is not good. That is some spider stuff.
And sure enough, I did have to defeat one spider here, giving me a venom suck, and those are pretty important later on. I continued the exploration trip.
Oh, I didn't know you were an enemy.
Mining any copper I could find. But yeah, I was rarely alone here.
What are you?
After defeating that goblin guy, I got myself a mace. The only problem being, it was a double-handed weapon, so I could not use my torch with it. And of course, when I'm distracted, stuff like this happens.
I must be pretty deep, no? Oh, there's like a different ord.
Oh my god, what are you? Hello. Oh my god, that hurts. I ran away, but ended up in some weird lava cave biome, and that's the last place I wanted to be in with a low tier equipment. I mean, just look at this guy in the middle there, just standing there, magma-singly. I started looking for a way out, but the only way that wasn't stuffed with enemies was through the lava pools. So I started making my way through, even fell into lava, which did surprisingly little damage. And hey, I actually quite like this hammer. Goblins or skeletons don't stand a chance. I healed up a bit using my cooked wheat and climbed through some more caves and ended up in a goblin camp, I guess, of all places, huh? I dispatched the goblin camp of the goblins. Now it's just a camp. And then I gathered all the materials I could find here. And after a bit of running around with a vague idea of going up, I decided to just dig myself out with my own blocky hands. Well, that's one way to spend a night. Did I mention I was just supposed to grab some materials for my house? I quickly came back to my camp and crafted some chests. I have way too many items now, after one dungeon dive. Reminds me of Terraria actually a bit, but yeah, I have some storage now, I guess. Then I did some more building. I need to finally finish up this place, otherwise I am effectively homeless. So I put down some doors, built some windows, then filled up the floor with the stone bricks, just because they look kinda cool. And then I started experimenting with the roof, and I am warning you right here, I am no roof expert. But since I crafted a bunch of those steep blocks, why not use them? And after some detail work, my house was finished.
This house looks terrible.
Please don't laugh, I totally meant to make it look this way. It is very cool, but the most important thing is, I finally have a spot to actually call home, and a place to do some more serious crafting. But I also placed down my bedroll, finally, so that concludes it. Nothing can beat sleeping on a nice, cozy, cold floor. Okay, but now I can focus a bit on progression. I decided that my first plan should be to consider making some copper stuff, like this pickaxe. So I crafted a furnace with some stone, and placed it inside. And this thing will let me smelt raw ores. Who would have thought? So I started smelting some of the copper I found in the caves, using charcoal as fuel. But I had no idea where I got this charcoal from. But then I noticed that I must have picked it up from the campfire, I guess after cooking some of that wheat. Apparently, using logs as fuel actually produces charcoal. So I guess that makes wood quite a powerful energy source, since effectively it can be burned twice. After some time I finally got my hands on copper ingots, so first thing I made was of course the copper pickaxe. But apart from that I also made some basic oak furniture for the house. Just because I can. And while I don't have that much space here yet, I do appreciate the inside being cozy. And after that, I tested out my copper pickaxe finally. And while it did not feel any faster than the crude one, it is technically more durable and can last me much longer. And while I was out looking for some materials, I noticed some ruins just west from my house. And this thing seems like some sort of an abandoned mineshaft. And since looting seems to be a big part of this game, I do need to explore it. So I started smashing some boxes here and there, although I noticed that those usually drop very low tier stuff, like berries and whatnot. But after that I noticed some stairs leading down into a basement, and here, behind some old crates, a hidden cave. But I decided to leave it for now, especially with those weird strange sounds coming from it. I decided to first quickly craft myself a better weapon to fight in those tunnels. So I went home and looked into crafting some equipment workbenches, like the blacksmith bench for weapons and armorer's bench for, well, armors. And yikes, I misjudged how much space I will need. My start at home is already getting pretty crowded, but I did manage to squeeze in both the armor bench and the weapons bench somehow. I just needed to reimagine my sleeping standards. Anyway, as expected, the blacksmith bench lets me craft weapons, so I of course made the copper sword as my much needed upgrade. And since I still have some copper to spare, I made myself most of the copper armor, with the helmet being the only exception, since I ran out of copper ingots. But look, my first almost complete equipment set is complete. Almost. So I made my way back to the ruined mineshaft I tactically retreated from last time, approached the cave entrance in the basement once again, and I guess bounced on some mushrooms. But after I was done with the bouncing, I started off the exploration of this mine with a goblin chest. Or at least I would have, if not for the constantly spawning skeletons around here. Leave me alone, I don't have any berries, you hungry boners. But yeah, after that I grabbed whatever was in the chest, including some lettuce seeds. Nice. And after that, more skeleton fighting. They literally spawn here all the time, I guess, just like those little slimy bug creatures. And we even have magical skeletons too. Nice. And they drop some crystal shards, no idea what's it for, but I have it now. Then more exploration. I guess this whole thing actually connects to that big mineshaft in the middle. After that, I Thanos snapped some mole people. Huh? And look, I guess I can actually find some useful equipment in those chests after all. Wish it was a copper hat, though. That's the only thing I'm actually lacking. And yeah, exploring this dungeon was mostly me running around and frantically opening all the chests I could get, digging all the copper deposits I could find, opening more chests, fighting skellies, opening chests, and fighting even more skellies. After all that, I managed to find my way back, though, and we are out. Honestly, that was kind of fun. Still, very reminiscent of Terraria's exploration. I consider this dungeon done. It is time to bring the spoils home. But of course, first I had to get attacked by some wolves. But I can never say no to some more animal hides and meat. And after that, I managed to get home, safe and sound. I actually managed to lift quite a few valuables from there, even silver and gold. So now I just had to smelt it all. Upgrades, you know. And after some of the copper was done, I crafted the copper helmet. And now I look kinda dumb, but at least protected and safe. I officially have the entire copper set. First stop on the road to endgame gear is complete. But then I noticed a different use for materials I gather. Workshops have tiers and upgrading them will let me make better stuff. Well, I will have to be on a lookout for those. But for now I focused on making the roof a bit nicer by extending it slightly using the regular non-steep roof block variants. And honestly, while weirdly ugly, the house does have this weird fantasy goofy vibe to it, and I kind of like it. It is a bit small and has a phallic shaped roof, but it is mine and I am proud of it. But apart from the main home, I decided to build a little crafting building behind it. So I started by cutting some of the local trees. And you know what? I found an entire oak forest just south from my home. A nice constant oak supply then. But while exploring, I saw something resembling a bear in the distance. So, equipped with my copper inventory, I rushed into the fires of battle over the Oak Kingdom. And honestly, given my track record with bears in video games, that was kind of easy. Well, after that I grabbed some additional rock and finally started my famous for precision and complexity building process. And while moving blocks back and forth, my copper pickaxe actually already broke down. But compared to other block games, that does not mean it's gone. All I had to do is use a repair kit that I found in one of the dungeons to fix it right up. It does lower the overall durability though, so it is not a forever solution. After that I started making the floors from some fancy cut rock. Too bad only the top of those blocks will be visible. And after that I made some pathways from my home to the future building. I really want to go for that fantasy village vibe. It is getting dark though, so the next morning I started making the roof, this time normally and without weird blocks. And after I was finished, the building turned out fine. While not the pinnacle of human creativity, it will do its job of holding on to my workbenches. And thanks to that I will finally have some space in the main home, even if probably for not very long. I took some materials from my house and brought them to the workshop. I need to start making leather since it's necessary for almost everything from now on, so a tanning rack is in order. I placed it in between the builder's bench and the workbench, and now I can actually put some animal hides on it and they will slowly turn into different kinds of leather. And after that I made myself a copper bow, the idea being that I will use it to hunt, since you know, I need leather now. I still had to run around some gravel patches to grab as much rock rubble as possible, but after that I was able to make a bunch of arrows too. And as soon as the morning hit, I set out on a little hunting expedition. Target: as much animal hides as humanly possible. And pretty much immediately I spotted some deer drinking by the river, and well, this is my river. No animal will drink for free. This is a low tier bow, not very powerful, and even a deer can eat several arrows to the face and be fine, I guess. But I did get some light hides from them. We'll turn it into light leather, which is the lowest leather tier. And after that I fought some wolves. Actually killing them with a sword turned out to be vastly easier and more economical. But while the bow is slower, it does not draw aggro on enemies, I guess, so it is the safer choice technically. And after that I noticed a huge tree, and while initially I thought it was another one of those randomly generated dungeons, I could not be further from the truth. This was actually a home to friendly creatures, including a trader, the currency being some sort of a green life essence. But yeah, more hunting. I realized that I do get hit quite a lot when in melee combat. I do need to improve a bit with parrying and deflecting with right mouse click and stuff. And hey, gathering wild plants and stuff actually gives you essence of life, the currency that NPC trader actually wanted. I learn something new every day. But after that, guess what? Yep, more hunting. Even tried beating a bear yet again, since they drop heavy hides for heavy leather. And my hunting brought me to a huge lake right down south from my home. And here I found some lobsters and stuff. Clearly not a hide animal, but why not kill them anyway? Same goes for ulting right in the face of a baby sheep. I have no excuse for that, but I did it anyway. And after that I put all that leather I gathered into the tanning rack. We should have some real deal leather soon around here. But apart from that, I also decided to craft a chef's stove, yet another workbench, but for cooking. And here we can actually make some proper meals, and that will give larger boosts to health and stamina. So I crafted a bunch of vegetable skewers. That should do it. And after that I came back to check on the leather, and yeah, some of it is already done. So I used it to craft my first iron thingy, a sword, since I still had a bunch of unused iron from all the dungeons. And when it comes to iron armor, I need linen scraps for all the armor parts basically, and those drop from humanoid enemies apparently. I will have to look for those. But before anything else, I crafted yet another workbench, this time farm related, and put it outside. It even looks farmy and cozy and all, so it can kinda do as a decoration too. And here we can make quite a bunch of useful items actually, but the most important for now is a crude hoe. And this tool will let me do some actual farming around here. But apart from that, I also made a watering can and a bucket. And then I started tilling some of the grass here. I wanted to make one of those hilly fields with wheat and stuff. And while I wanted to transport some water into the field, I broke the pond and I could not get it fixed. So I just kind of got rid of the evidence, you know? But yeah, I watered the tilled blocks using the new can and planted whatever seeds I currently had in my possession. So some lettuce and a bunch of corn, of course. And hopefully everything is done right. And this stuff should start growing, probably. And then I noticed that in the farm workbench I can actually purchase seeds using the essence of life, which you get from gathering plants too. So I guess that's how you grow a farm in Hytale. So since I had some currency on me, I bought as much wheat seeds as I could and planted them all too. And to be honest, the crops grow really fast in this game. I guess watching plants grow can actually be satisfying. Well, I guess my little farm is done for now. We will have to check back later when I can get some more of that life essence thing. Okay, but let's get back to turning myself into an Iron Man. I need those linen scraps. So the next morning I left the house in search of any enemy that drops them, and my first victims, the starving. But hey, at least I got some of that linen scrap pretty much immediately. And hey, while looking for a fight, I yet again got distracted by something completely unrelated. Yet another trader village, but this time bigger and in a fall season like biome. And I guess it is home to those little guys here, and I'm sure they have a wonderful name, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But yeah, they have their own little farms with chicken coops and stuff, and the trader is selling some cooking recipes too. No idea if I need any of that right now, but it's good to know that it's here. But for now, I continued my quest of fighting world hunger. Those skeletons seem to be very good source of early game linen stuff, so I hunted them one by one, up until a point when my good fight led me into some ancient Elder Scrolls Oblivion ruins. And what better way to farm humanoid enemies than diving forehead deep into some lost civilization dungeons. So I entered the ruins and stole everything, and then made my way down the spiral stairs. And okay, I guess this is going to be some sort of a boss fight.
Oh, he doesn't actually hit that hard. Yeah, that was easy actually.
After that, I stole everything I could carry from the chests around here and decided to risk it all and step through the portal that this golem was clearly protecting, probably from me.
Hello?
And holy, I honestly expected anything, but not that. I made my way further, exploring whatever I could, but it seems that most of this stuff is actually work in progress type thing. Hytale is very early in early access after all, so I am not surprised. And it's actually quite a fun idea to just put work in progress signs everywhere. But I did interact with some statue in the middle of it all, and apparently I can collect some sort of memories and bring them back here for some perks. Well, there didn't seem to be anything more here, so I came back through the portal. I started pushing more north. I wanted to grab as much linen as possible, but exploring the map is also a good idea overall. So I climbed over a small mountain range here, and on the other side, apparently a tundra. Seems that the more north I go, the colder it gets, which is a cool detail. Literally cool. So I pushed farther, deeper into the colder biomes. And of course, the skellies are here too. Debatable whether there's more of them here than in my home biomes, but at least I can still farm the scraps. I also did explore a bit of this tower surrounded by some huge bones, but not much loot here. And according to map, I am actually quite close to full-on frozen biomes. And there is a couple of huge structures here too. So I decided to go even further north, just to see how far I can actually go with the copper equipment. Of course, killing every skeleton that I see. That is important too. So I climbed over the glacier edge here, and holy, we're in the cold regions now for sure. But hey, I guess skeletons spawn regardless of biome. They do look different though and drop slightly different essences. Those guys dropped the ice one. So after dispatching this patrol, I went after another one. They seem to be spawning here quite regularly actually. But then I noticed something huge flying in the distance.
What the hell is this in the distance?
And while at first I was a bit hesitant to engage, this thing actually went down quite easily.
Never mind, that was surprisingly really easy. Okay.
And apparently it also spawned those ghouls as its bodyguards or something, all of them dropping a yet another type of essence. This time, void type. I have a feeling this is going to be important sooner or later. And after I was done fighting the void enemies, I continued and stumbled upon some lights. And when I investigated further, it seemed to be some sort of a frozen abandoned city. I entered one of the huts, which funny enough had a working campfire inside, and decided to wait out the night. Void enemies actually hit quite hard, and there is a lot of them at night. And in the morning, it was mostly safe. Well, mostly. So I used my night hut to climb over the city walls, and yeah, this place is not small, and I already noticed some not so friendly looking inhabitants. I jumped down and immediately started getting shot at. I had to fight my way out of here, and I don't even have a clue who those guys are.
Oh, he hits hard. Okay.
I tried taking shelter in one of the bigger homes here, but I did have to dispatch one more dagger-wielding assassin-type enemy on the stairs. But after it was quiet, I had a moment to finally start the fun, looting the chests all around here. And in one of those chests, I spotted an iron pickaxe. Nice find. But apart from that, I also got a doomed outlander sword. So I guess those guys here are the doomed outlanders. Definitely an improvement over my copper sword though. I immediately tested the sword in action, and it did seem to be doing a bit more damage. I had much less issues clearing these guys out from this ruined city.
Okay. It's much better with this sword.
But then I spotted the biggest building in town, so of course I had to investigate. And yeah, that looks like a fight I can totally handle. I fought the best way I can, by dealing as much damage as possible and then closing the doors, because the doomed outlanders thankfully do not know how door hinges work. And honestly, this went way better than I expected. I managed to clear most of the room in no time, even stabbed some wolves through the doors. I guess glitch abusing is the name of the game when you're out-leveled in a zone. In the middle of the now cleared room, I spotted an important looking book, so I gently picked it up with my pickaxe. A void grimoire, and no idea if it's important, but I have it now. And in the chest, on the upper floor, apart from some ores, I found a shield, so that's always nice to have a shield. Well, I guess that's enough looting for one day, so I quickly started making my way back to the hotter regions. Not a fan of jumping over cracked glaciers, you know? But hey, at least I got a taste of the cold biomes in Hytale now. I managed to get home mostly intact, bringing an absolute abundance of random trinkets, ores and whatnot from my adventures already. I guess I was gone for so long that my crops even fully grew. Did I mention that it was supposed to be an adventure for linen? How did I end up half a world away is beyond me. Well, at least now we have the grimoire and also a bunch of other things I stole, like a bed. And since we have more than enough linen scraps now, I finally was able to make some parts of the iron armor, the helmet and the chest plate. I guess I'll have to look into some iron runs soon. But for now, I took care of the crops. And yeah, harvesting only nets you the produce and the essence of life. We don't get any seeds back. I guess the way to properly farm is just slowly multiply your life essences and buy more and more seeds each harvest. Okay, but farming stuff aside, I crafted myself some iron daggers. The blue sword is already slowly breaking down, and I wanted to try something different now. In the morning I went out to search for iron, so a cave is probably the best spot for that. And a couple of seconds after delving deep, I already found the first iron deposit. Nice. But of course, while iron is the main goal, I did also grab whatever else I got my hands on. And while I have no clue about how ore generation works in Hytale, I did not seem to really have any issues with finding the iron ore, especially after I dove deep underground down to the lava levels. Sure, there is more enemies here and a lot of hot molten rock, but way more minerals too. I even found some silver. No idea what's it used for, but I yoinked some anyway. But one thing worth a mention is that the rock here is pretty hard. Even the iron pickaxe I have needs a couple of hits before breaking anything. And yeah, I am slowly getting more and more comfortable with this lava place.
Oh, I don't think I can take 2 of those.
even if it's still very hostile. So I dug a bunch of iron, fought a bunch of stuff,
It is satisfying though, having better armor and weapons.
and when I felt like I had enough, I came back up. And while I was going back home, my wife came to the room to check up on my experience with Hytale so far.
It is much simpler. I just went from like a full playthrough of Vintage Story. Look at this.
That's your house?
Yeah,
Damn.
it looks goofy.
It looks
It
nice.
has like a little, yeah. And also the animations, I like those very much. And this is me. The animations are really nice. It's well made, you know. Something's wrong with my bow. Like, I swear I was able to hit those shots before, okay?
Performance issues. What? No.
He dodged it. Did you see that? He
Yep.
just... Okay.
It literally got dark and you didn't kill a single bird.
And after the animation and feel of the game talks, we also discovered that sitting on a bench when our roof is 1 block above you can suffocate you.
What? Am I?
Why?
Oh, I think I'm suffocating in the roof. Now it's fine.
Well, that's silly.
I can hear you, okay?
After all that goofing around, I started finally smelting the iron I gathered from the caves. That's the last ingredient for my full descent into the Iron Age here, I guess. So while the ore cooks, I decided to do a little experiment. I flattened some terrain in front of my house and built a little pen using oak fences. And then I tried to herd the local wild cows inside. Full on cowboy. After getting one, I quickly surrounded it with the fences so it doesn't escape. Well, I guess I have 1 cow now, but I want more. So I herded another one, and somehow it managed to jump over the fence all on its own. And now, with 2 cows, I can start an actual farm, I think. I don't actually know how this works in Hytale, but hey, if you use a bucket, you do get milk though, so that's a win in my book. But then I went into the farmer's workbench, and apparently I can make crates for trapping small animals. So I built a little pen for chickens, and you know what I'm going to go and kidnap into a box now? Chickens. So I walked around looking for them, but no luck. It actually took me a while of walking here and there, but somehow I did manage to spot them on a beach, of all places. So I quickly took them from their little vacation spot and brought them to a much nicer place, my enclosed animal pen. And well, now I have chickens. No idea for what and how to make them work in any sort of way, but they are here. But since I still have the boxes, I decided to test something out. And yes, you can kidnap baby cows. So I guess I have baby cows now too. And look, the iron is ready. So I started making the rest of the armor. And now I am fully prepared for anything, or at least early to mid-game level threats. But I also made an axe. No idea how it's better apart from the durability, but hey, worth a shot. And since I have all the requirements met already, I decided to upgrade my regular workbench to tier 2, just to see what happens. And apart from some new recipes for tools, it also looks different now. But alright, I have to focus now on materials to upgrade both the weapons bench and the armor's bench. So I decided to start with copper and iron first, since I can get them pretty easily together. So of course I had to have an entire mining operation. Thankfully, copper is extremely common near the surface, and iron in the lava biomes. But since I ended up down here yet again, I decided to finally challenge the molten golem. And as usual, this wasn't much of a fight after all.
That was easy.
Knockback being the key to victory. And those golems actually drop full iron ingots too. But yeah, more mining. And I finally decided to try out those iron daggers I made some time ago. And what's better first target than those annoying hook frogs? And honestly, I love those daggers. They are extremely satisfying to play, and their strong attack actually lets you leap into the air like some sort of an assassin. And that leap actually deals a ton of damage if done properly. Just have to remember not to get too cocky, I can still die even in the iron armor.
Okay, I got a bit cocky there.
So yeah, I just kind of spent some time down here in the lava trenches, mastering the blades, getting iron from golems, you know, the usual. I felt like I even got better at fighting in general. Apparently all you have to do is block every 5 attacks to parry the frogs perfectly every time. But after I had enough loot and ores, I dug myself back out. I guess I spent more than a day down here just doing stuff, but the haul was pretty good at least. So I came back home more or less happy. I even got to demolish yet another skeleton who stumbled just a tiny bit too close to my food storages. But after that, I started smelting all the ores I brought, and while they cook, I can focus a bit on my farm. So I planted more wheat all around to farm more essence of life. I also tried giving different things to my cows to reproduce, but to no avail. No idea if that's even possible though. But same with chickens, they don't actually seem to do very much. So instead of worrying about it, I went out and cut some trees for fuel. And while I was doing that, I noticed that the charge attack of the daggers is actually pretty good way of transportation. But yeah, ore smelting is still in full effect. So I decided to make myself a thorium pickaxe instead. I had some thorium from the adventures in the north, I guess, and tier 2 of workbench lets me craft it. So why not? It will definitely boost my digging productivity just a tiny bit more, but since smelting ore was taking longer than I expected, I decided to speed things up. So I crafted some more furnaces and started making a basement underneath the workshop. The thorium pickaxe actually proved quite useful here, since I think this one is actually a bit faster than the previous tier picks. And after I dug out all the space needed, I put 6 furnaces down here. This way, the ore smelting should be taking much less time. And since I don't want to lose my thorium pickaxe on my adventures just yet, I made some repair kits using some spare iron. And despite it being a night, I went out for some more mining. And since Hytale is very mod friendly, I decided to install a mod Lucky Mining, which gives ores a chance to multiply if mined in a quick succession. That makes mining a bit more engaging, while it still doesn't make it too easy to gather ores. So I ran around some caves and picked up as much ore as I could. And of course I picked a couple of fights as usual for the fire essences. But while I was mining, I stumbled upon a naturally generated thorium ore, and that was actually a first for me, since I don't think it usually spawns around the starting biomes. But anyway, after I picked whatever I needed, I started making my way back home, and here as usual, smelted whatever needed smelting. Honestly, really happy with the new smelting room too, that helps a lot actually. So while smelting is smelting, I picked some of my crops on the farm, and hey, I didn't notice it before, but apparently you can buy saplings in the farmer's bench too. So I bought a couple with essence of life, and planted some trees behind my farm. I was actually wondering whether tree planting was even a thing, but I guess that answers it. In the morning I finally started looking into upgrading the farmer's workbench, and for that I needed to plant some cabbages and some wheat. And while gathering some of the wheat that was already grown, I actually got 2 bags of eternal wheat seeds. And those are very important, because they grow forever, and you don't have to replant them after gathering. Free food and life essence, basically. So I of course planted them, and I guess now I will have eternal wheat, and a guaranteed essence of life supply, even if small for now. And after that, I already had basically everything needed for tier 2, so I upgraded the bench. And while it did not change the look of the workbench this time, it did unlock some new recipes and seeds. We can plant corn and carrots now. And since all the smelting is done, turns out that to upgrade armor bench to tier 2 I need some azure logs. And I think I saw something that looked like that on my trip to the north some time ago. But apart from that, weapon bench needs venom sacks and leather, so I have to be on the lookout for those too. Leather is not a problem since it's already cooking on the leather rack anyway, but the venom sacks might prove to be a bit grindy to get. So I went out into the wilds to gather all those ingredients. But first, azure logs, which are probably in this magical forest biome. And hey, on my way there I already got my first venom sacks from some random spiders. Nice. And after some more running, I arrived at the azure forest. And when I cut those fun curly trees, sure enough, those were the exact ones I needed. So I defiled an ancient magical forest by cutting its trees to upgrade my armor's bench. Kinda worth it though, even if I risk upsetting some ancient spirits, they would probably understand. And yeah, whenever I saw a spider I made sure to kill them, even if it meant a slight detour. Venom sacks are important and rather hard to farm, but I also made sure to hit any small structures with enemies whenever I can. While I might not need any materials from here right now, it is just kinda fun, especially the furniture stealing part, but my venom sack adventure brought me further north now to the swamps. And apparently the snakes also drop the venom sacs, so it's not a spider exclusive. So I kind of walked around the swamps and hit any snake that I could see. But I also had to try to not die of a heart attack in this biome.
Oh my god.
But I kind of miscalculated the time it takes to farm 3 separate items, and I got caught in the middle of the night in the swamps. So to avoid any confrontation with hard enemies, I decided to tactically dip, and I actually managed to get to the friendly village I saw before. Apparently you can sleep here too, on a comfy leaf bed. So I of course used that privilege and stayed here until morning. And when it was bright enough, I hunted more snakes. Turns out it's far easier to spot them during a daylight. And when I had enough venom sacs, I started making my way home. Hard work pays off. And when I got home, the armorer's bench was already waiting for me, and yes, I had everything that was needed. So, armorer's workbench has been officially upgraded to tier 2, unlocking Thorium armor recipe. And the blacksmith bench still needs a bunch of light leather to get to tier 2. So I picked the light leather from the rack, and here we go. Blacksmith bench at tier 2 as well, unlocking Thorium weapons fully. And the smithing corner looks pretty good now. New tier of weapons and armors is nice to have, but I need, well, more thorium now. So, in the morning, I left my home once again. Once we ventured north, now it's the time we venture south into the hot deserts, which apparently spawn a ton of thorium. Thankfully, the world generation is pretty straightforward. The more south we go, the hotter it gets. So I run around the huge lake. I have visited this place a couple of times before, but I never actually crossed it. Well, first time for everything. So I run, and after some travel, while of course picking up all the junk I could find, I was just a hill away from entering the next zone of the game, the Howling Sands. A nice warm break from the cold zones we explored so far. And of course the first thing that greeted me here was some hyenas and skeletons. Those guys are literally everywhere. Also scorpions, a slightly tanker spider equivalent, I guess. And after I proceeded further, I noticed a huge city-like thing in the distance. So of course I broke in as fast as I could by jumping over the very secure walls here. And hey, this is not actually an enemy camp, or I think it's not. The inhabitants, which seem to be some kind of feline people, were actually a bit concerned with me rather than aggressive. And they have like their own little style of buildings and furniture and stuff, all very tribal. Quite a nice vibe, honestly. So, of course I stole some stuff from their chests and went on my way. And this is where I noticed this little canyon here. And right next to it, a cave. Hope to find some thorium here. But honestly, I just kind of kept going down and yet again just hit the lava biome. Not a single thorium ore in sight. A lot of copper though. So I left. I thought to myself that maybe I misread some guides as to how to find this ore, and apparently Golden Plains, the biome I'm currently in, does not feature thorium at all. So I need to go deeper into the south, into the deserts. So I kept on going. And as soon as I saw the new biome pop up, I knew I should start looking for a way down. Because here, in the Badlands, the thorium ore should spawn properly now. So I quickly found myself a hole in the ground, quite literally a hole. And the first thing I noticed in those sandstone caves is that iron is absolutely abundant here. And there I was, trying to farm it for hours in the Emerald Grove biome. So I dug out as much as I could possibly carry. And after going deeper, a naturally generated thorium ore. A jackpot. So it is confirmed now, it does spawn here. Now I just need to farm it. So I spent some time mining here, fighting scorpions, and in no time I already had like 3 stacks of iron and 1 full stack of thorium. But I need more. So more mining, more fighting goblins, and after an hour or so of pure digging, I had more than enough, I thought. But that was when a patrol of goblins, assisted by those freaking frogs, spawned in. I tried my best, but I could not manage my stamina well enough to parry, you know, every tongue slap they had for me. And I died, hundreds of blocks away from home, in a hole somewhere deep underground. Not all items are dropped, but enough to hurt. 54 thorium ore is gone. I respawned in the temple, and made my way home as fast as I could. I had to smelt whatever thorium I had left. I had no chances of getting my items back anyway, so I cut some of my newly grown trees for fuel, and looked through materials we needed for workbench upgrades. Still need a ton of thorium, but also cobalt, some chitin from from the Sun Zone enemies and some essences. Also something called a Void Heart, which as of now I have no idea how to get and I have never seen one. So since I had smelted some of the ore already, I decided to craft myself a Thorium blade. I need an upgrade to be able to fight my way in the sands. But I also crafted a bunch of items for health regen and stamina boosts. That's kind of what killed me last time. And I was off for vengeance. I am coming back to the sands. And it didn't take that long to already get to the plains. And while I was already running through the Badlands, I even got a second to hit the skeleton outpost here, just to test out the new sword. Even got some iron ore as a reward in one of the chests. But alright, I found the same cave entrance I used last time and jumped right in. But this time I took a weird turn and actually ended up in some underground dungeon instead. So hey, happy little accidents. Clearing the first skeletons wasn't an issue, but I did notice that this place was actually quite large. I even got to fight some huge bugs, and they are the ones who apparently drop chitin. I mean, makes sense. After fighting them, I went down some stairs, and here, huge doors. Always nice. And behind them, same dungeon, but clearly spiced up. So I ran across the half-broken bridge and immediately jumped in to defeat a sandstone golem. In my experience, they seem to be mini-bosses, but yeah, they aren't very hard to defeat. And after that, more skeletons, even got one to jump into lava. And the rewards in the final chest were, well, could be better. I guess I count this dungeon as complete. Quite easy, but hey, cool design. After all that, I tried coming back to the place where I died, just to confirm the loss of the items. And yeah, they were very gone. And while I was looking around for some thorium, I found familiar looking two frogs. So, blinded by vengeance, I tried my best. But I almost got my ass kicked for the second time. I hate those frogs. So instead of pursuing career as a Frenchman, I decided to focus on thorium, and spent as much time as I needed focusing almost fully on mining it, occasionally hitting some chests and getting scared of sand. Oh my god. But I also noticed that strip mining is not that bad actually, or seem to be spawning quite regularly this way too. And after I felt like I mined enough, I got out of there ASAP. Well, hopefully this will do. And while I was running back home, this freak of nature started harassing me and giving me a good run for my money too. And since I did not care to take my bow with me, I had to fight a flying, poisoning enemy with a sword. Fun times.
Jesus.
Almost got gapped by a wasp, but after that embarrassing fight I quickly ran home. Or at least I would have, if not for that troll camp in the middle of my path. So I cleared it. Trolls aren't exactly endgame enemies, and my thorium sword was doing more than fine here. I need a psychological rebound after that wasp fight, you know? And after that, I finally managed to get home. I went out to cut some trees for fuel and started smelting all the ore, including some cobalt I got from the Snow City. But most of the ore smelting right now is the thorium and iron in all those furnaces. And after enough was ready, I started making all the pieces of the new armor. And now I have the full set of thorium armor, not only protecting better against normal attacks, but also having bonuses versus venom too. But alright, to upgrade my workbenches I still need cobalt and some essences. And cobalt should be found in the third zone of the game, the snow biomes. Yeah, I guess I entered them way too early before. But I have to also remember about my farmer's workbench, and that also needs some stuff for upgrades. So I tilled the soil again and planted all the carrots and corn necessary. And I also noticed that at tier 5 you can actually build a chicken coop, and I really want one, since my chickens are quite useless so far. But for now I am departing my home once again. Time to visit the snow biomes, but this time a bit better prepared. And when I got to the border, I had to climb the mountain range once again. Thankfully, Hytale has ledge climbing mechanics, and that's actually really satisfying to use. And after a minute, I was there. I immediately got greeted by a bear, although those are not that dangerous anymore to me, and continued farther into the lands of the north. I decided to go for the easy targets, the mountains. Cobalt ore caves should definitely be there. So I made my way on the top of the glacier, fought off some wolves, and bullied an ice snail. I do need those essences of ice, you know. But yeah, I also need void essences and void hearts for upgrades, but I guess that's only possible during the night, since that's when void creatures spawn. So I run, gotta get to those mountains finally, and honestly I was getting pretty close, especially that this is the old frozen town I visited last time, familiar ground. So after killing a polar bear, I approached the mountains, and there it is, cobalt in the open. I guess no need for caves then, and yeah, sure enough, it is cobalt, and not a small amount amount either. I guess it generates naturally, even on the outside of the mountain faces and stuff. But hey, is that an ice troll? Yeah, it very much is. And as usual, the larger enemies have a rather hard time getting around the knockback of my weapon. So the fight was rather easy. And when I climbed a bit higher, I guess I found his partner too. No love for ice trolls on my watch. And inside their little cave I found some gold veins, so I guess I got rewarded for my cruelty after all. Nice. But yeah, I focus mostly on Cobalt now. It seems to be actually very common here and spawning everywhere really. And the view from up top was also quite nice. Well, maybe apart from Mordor down there, I guess. It's almost like some sort of foreshadowing, huh? Well, surely I will have to go there sooner or later, and I better be prepared. That place looks like one misstep and I might be gone. Thankfully that's not a problem while actively jumping around mountain walls. That is surely safer. And since it already got dark, the void monsters finally started spawning. The priorities can shift from Cobalt to void essences and hearts. So I started actively hunting and farming those flying octopus guys. Apparently they drop a lot of void essence at once and have a very small chance of dropping void hearts. And I need 3 of them. But I also fought some tougher enemies, like those whatever they are called. Those guys are actually a pretty good fight. But yeah, farming flying octopuses the entire night is a rather slow process. At least in the glaciers, it's pretty easy to spot them from afar. And after all that, I got a pretty hefty amount of essences of the void. No void hearts though, must be a really slim chance to get them actually. And since it really started getting bright again, the void monsters stopped spawning. So I guess this is it for now. So I switched my priorities to Cobalt once again. And since it's really easy to spot it here, it wasn't much of an adventure. More like running around and digging it out from the mountains and random rock chunks. It was so easy in fact that I got around 7 stacks pretty easily. But I still need ice essences, so I had to walk around and hunt some poor icy skeletons. And yeah, they aren't much of a fight either. The only problem was finding them consistently. And while I was looking around for them, I managed to stumble upon a Viking village. No Vikings though, so I guess it's just a village. I explored a bit and of course took whatever I could from the chests. But other than that, not much stuff here. But then I noticed some generated huge void-like structure on the map. And I wanted to investigate, you know, in case of any void hearts. So I made my way there. And when I approached, it turned out to be more of a work camp for those Outlander guys. So I got a couple of them, but soon realized that I'm actually getting my butt handed to me. So, since I don't really need to be here, I dipped ASAP to not risk losing 7 stacks of cobalt. I started making my way back home. I've got a lot of stuff to smelt. And when I got here, hey, my crops are ready. So I guess I am going to upgrade my farmer's bench soon too. But for now, I focused on sorting my inventory and putting cobalt in the furnaces. And some gold and silver I got from there too. And my ingot storages are looking pretty good to be honest. And after some of the cobalt was ready, blacksmith bench could be upgraded to maximum, tier 3. And that unlocks, well, everything. Adamantite weapons, mithril weapons, although I'm pretty sure mithril is not in the game yet. But yeah, the last materials we need to upgrade armor bench too to the max is, well, some chitin and those rare void hearts. But first, the farm. So I gathered the crops and crafted the greater essence of life using 100 essences of life and upgraded farm bench to tier 3, which is not the max yet. I guess we have to put a little bit more work into it, especially that chicken coop needs tier 5 and next tier needs turnips and cauliflowers. So I planted all necessary crops and I guess we wait. But after that I noticed one more interesting thing. Apparently I can craft a backpack on a regular workbench. And yeah, that resolves some of the inventory issues I had so far. And apart from the backpack stuff, I also started looking into making cobalt armor, since, well, I have a lot of cobalt. Not enough heavy leather for all the parts though, so I walked around and farmed as many bears as I could for those heavy hides, you know. Thankfully, bears seem to be spawning in more or less the same spots. For me personally, there seem to be at least 5 bear spawning spots around this little lake north from my home. I guess knowing your map is quite important. But then I got a little bit cocky, decided to take on 3 bears at once. And while trying to use my ultimate ability, I actually got a bit humbled there. I swear, bears are my literal arch nemesis in every game. Thankfully, this time I managed to get my items quite easily, since it wasn't far. And then I got my revenge, of course for the leather mostly. And then I got home and dried it all. That should do it. So I crafted the entire armor and sword from cobalt. And now I am literally indestructible. I hope. at least. Well, I guess I went through a couple of armor tiers at this point. Feels like I'm changing them every couple of hours. But it is time to move out. I am going into the deserts to farm some chitin and hopefully find some void hearts along the way too. So I quickly got to the desert biomes and searched around the caves for, well, bugs. And while they are not hard to fight, they are hard to find. Those guys seem to have their own little caves where they spawn, and those things are a bit of a pain to try to locate. But after just a bit of fighting, I already had about 12 chitin. Still need more though. So a bit of more killing bug, and when I felt like I had enough, I dug myself out yet again. But then I noticed some of those ancient ruin thingies, and I had an idea. Maybe there's a way to travel between those points and somehow teleport back to the ruins close to my base. So I fought the guardian and teleported again to the forgotten temple. I also deposited some of those memories I was apparently gathering, and hey, one of the perks lets me have one more additional teleporter. So I guess it is possible to travel that way, I just need to craft them. So I left the temple and started heading home, of course while getting harassed yet again. So I killed the flying bug, and damn, those flying ones do actually drop chitin too. I actually didn't know that. So I farmed a couple of them for good measure. I already kind of forgot how much chitin I actually need, but I wanted to be, more or less safe. And when I got home, wow, I was actually 3 chitin short. Damn me and my small brain. But I used it as a perfect learning opportunity. So I looked through the benches I haven't yet crafted, and the choice was the Arcanist one. I put it in the house, and look, you can craft the portals. And they are quite cheap too. I just need a bit more of that azure wood and some kelp from that area too. So I went to the forest to deforest the forest again, and grabbed a couple of those glowing kelps that spawn in the ponds. Then I came back home, and sure enough, portals are craftable. So I put one in my front yard, and I guess you can choose your destination if you have a couple of them set up, kind of similarly to Valheim. Well, now I actually have a transportation method that does not include me holding the W key and the charge attack. So I went back to the desert, this time with some portals in my inventory, and set it right up in the middle of the Badlands. Seems to be working just fine. And the best part is, well, having an open portal like this is cool. Being able to pick them up and set them whenever I need to go home is even cooler. So for now, I spent some time farming the wasps for chitin. I literally just needed 3. And after I was done shooting arrows at literal bugs, I was able to put down a teleporter and get home in seconds. This is quality of life improvement if I've ever seen one. So since it was still night, I decided to run as fast as possible to the snow biomes. It's really easy to farm the void enemies there, so it's probably worth a shot. And quite literally the first void flying guy dropped a void heart. Finally, I was doubting whether they ever drop at all. Well, I guess we need 2 more. So I ran around the glacier area to find more, and when I said it's easy to spot them here, I meant it. Look at that draw distance. And after I defeated the second one from the pack, another void heart dropped. You kill 20 of those guys and nothing. Now I shoot 3 and get 2 hearts. Crazy stuff. But unfortunately that seemed to be it. The sun is slowly rising and the void enemies stopped spawning altogether. So for now I put a portal on the little ice chunk here and teleported home. I will be back at night. And when I got home, apparently my blacksmith bench has been possessed. Alright. And yeah, I still need only 1 more void heart to max out the armor's bench. Well, at least I managed to get 2. And from a complete different angle, my adult cow despawned, I think. Or maybe it escaped. Or maybe the small ones ate it. I don't know. But my halted milk production is not the most important thing. My cauliflowers and turnips are ready. So I gather them. And yes, I can now upgrade my farmer's bench to tier 4. And that unlocks possibility to buy eternal wheat seeds, even if they are a bit on the expensive side. So I bought and planted as many as I could. Spent pretty much all my essence of life, but I guess it's worth it. This wheat will be netting me free money forever now. But apart from that, I can finally craft a better hoe, a copper one. So I decided to remodel my farm a bit and expand it more. I wanted it to look even more like a hilly farm, climbing over this little, well, hill. But I also added a bunch of fences all around, just for the vibes, And my new farm is quite a bit bigger now. Should be pretty easy to never run out of food, but you never know. And since I still had some time before nightfall void farming, I ran around and grabbed as much wild wheat as possible to get some more currency. And thanks to that, I was able to buy 4 more eternal wheat seeds. And yeah, don't forget to water the plants, that does help quite a bit with the growth rate. And after all that farm work, I guess it is slowly time to get back to the cold zones and shoot up some tentacle birds. In the glaciers, I tried spotting some of those flying void guys, and as usual, it didn't take long to start finally shooting them down, even if the first couple of them did not drop any void hearts, but then I spotted the fourth one.
Oh, he dropped it.
And we got it. The third void heart has finally dropped. We are golden. So without wasting any time, I made my way back to the portal. I don't think I need anything else from this cold place anymore, so I teleported. And at home, the armor's bench was waiting. We have everything, and it is time to upgrade it to the max level, tier 3. And that gives us access to the last armor in the game, Adamantite. And funny enough, I actually do have most of the ingredients somewhere at home. Leather from bears, cinder cloth from the underground lava biome enemies, but Adamantite, I only had one idea where it might be. So before heading back out into the jaws of adventure, I tended to my farm real quick, and also decided to finally take out the drying rack from the workshop. It doesn't really belong here. So I dug out some stone from some random caves and decided to pick a nice spot for my new building, the tanner's hut. This is where I'll be doing my leather stuff. So I built a little road in between the house and the workshop, and then I started finally placing some blocks. I want it to look like it's from a medieval fantasy setting, so of course I went with oak wood and some stone bricks. And since I got some experience with roofs beforehand, I also went for the standard oak roofing. And that's it, nothing special. But I like the vibe it adds to the place. There is no reason for this building apart from the fact that I just felt like the leather making should be its own thing. And I also really like building in Hytale so far, so treat it as an excuse to take a break from adventuring. And yes, I also fixed the roof on the workshop so it protrudes a bit outwards finally. I forgot to add it before, and it adds a nice little depth to the building. And apart from that, I also crafted a furniture workbench. And this thing lets you make so many different things. But I opted for those little glowing flower thingies and put them all around my base. And since I still need the chicken coop, I made sure to get whatever is necessary for the farm bench upgrade. So I planted a bunch of pumpkins and whatever else was needed, and it should soon be ready. And yeah, the farm is now absolutely blooming. It looks so much nicer now with all the lights and additional buildings. I can totally see an advanced Hytale builder actually building crazy stuff in this game. And hey, I noticed that you can actually sell your crops to the farmer's bench. I don't know how I didn't notice that, but now that I did, I sold all the wheat I had to get as much essence of life as possible. And this way I could actually plant even more stuff. Pretty sure high-end crops yield more essence of life anyway when gathered, so it's a good deal. But now in the workshop I crafted a bunch of repair kits, and finally crafted the Cobalt pickaxe. We are going out into the wilds yet again, this time to find Adamantite, and finish the last piece of the puzzle to the endgame of Hytale. So I need to teleport back to the snow biomes and make my way to the devastated lands. So I pushed north through the glacier biomes. That's probably the last time I see those snowy mountains, because the devastated lands are the last biome, the Zone 4, the endgame place. And after climbing some ice, they were there, waiting. I jumped into water and avoided any animal that felt dangerous at the time, and when I got close to the land, I needed to start climbing. It did take a moment, since the cliff was quite steep, but I made it. I am here, and I came for Adamantite. I pushed further, and wow, I even found an undead cow, and it was aggressive. Even farm animals are dangerous here apparently. And soon after that I noticed an opening in the wall. It was an entrance to some sort of a dungeon, I guess. So of course I climbed down the shaft, and well, I guess this place is quite big. And in the water beneath me I spotted some sort of piranhas. Definitely did not look friendly. So I explored this place a bit, taking whatever I deemed more or less useful in the moment. And in one of the chests I found my first adamantite. I didn't even have to mine anything. But I need more than that. So I explored more, and to be honest, I think I actually got lost.
Okay, I've been here. I'm running in circles at this point.
I must have spent like at least 10-15 minutes just running around without knowing where exactly the exit is.
How am I back here? Hello? I've made a circle again?
And the tunnels seemed to just warp around. I kept coming back to the same places. So of course, out of pure desperation, I had to do the dig up technique. Of course, being terrified of the potential lava above me, but I managed to survive. The only problem being, it was very dark now, and it felt like any step could be my last here. Ravines with sharp drop-offs right into the lava are extremely common here. Well, I kind of had to navigate using, well, whatever was burning here. And I have to admit it, the biome is extremely climactic. And look, of course there are fire skeletons here, dropping the stuff I need for the armor too, cinder cloth and stuff. I made my way further into the burning forest, and the rocks I thought were scattered everywhere turned out to actually be charcoal. Nice. But after a moment of running, I managed to get to a slightly calmer, dead wood kind of biome. No lava here, just a bunch of murky water. So I decided to cut down some trees and build myself a little base for the night. Traveling during darkness is really making me anxious here, so it's better if I just wait it out. So I guess I just built myself a little prison cell. Better than nothing, I guess. And the next morning I jumped across the tree vines and branches like an avatar, and wow, the name Devastated Lands really suits this place, huh? So I searched around, looking quite literally everywhere for Adamantite and fighting all the skeletons I could see, but to no avail. I could not see any red ores anywhere. I even found a different little biome thing with this white ash sand, and here the caves actually seemed to spawn more consistent. Unfortunately, every cave I explored was basically a dead end.
There's nothing here. Okay.
But while exploring, I decided to focus on points of interest more. So I started off with the village there in the distance. And of course, I had to fight whatever was living here, or rather unliving, because those are some more difficult skeletons. One even had a literal gun.
God damn.
And after all the threats were dealt with, I explored this place a bit, looking into every nook and cranny, taking stuff that might be needed. And after all that I left, traveling even further north into the deeper devastated biomes. And then there it was, a random adamantite ore.
Oh. Adamantite. Finally. Adamantite, some of it at least.
Of course, this wasn't enough, but I now knew I am on the right track, so I continued onwards into Hytale's literal hell biomes. I was lured by the look of a huge volcano in the distance, so I proceeded. It didn't take that long to get there, and when I climbed to the top, I actually managed to spot more stuff inside the volcano itself than just lava. There was some water there. That's a bit suspicious, so I did what every other sane person would do. I calculated all the angles in my NASA brain and jumped right into the middle of a volcano. And here, another one of those purple dungeons I already explored once, but it goes deeper. So I used the water as an elevator, and at the very bottom of a volcano, a forest. Yeah, at the very bottom of a volcano, I just foolishly jumped in. I found a magical glowing forest with huge trees reaching to the top of the cavern, and with lush grass growing everywhere. Excitedly, I started exploring this place, and are those pterodactyls? Did I just end up in a freaking Jurassic Park? Then hey, I am definitely not the first person to be here. I found a bunch of structures built from wood everywhere here. Someone was living here before I ever came here, and now they are gone. Maybe because of the dinosaurs. Well, I kept exploring. Haven't found any traces of adamantite yet either.
Cave raptor. Oh my god. That's a dinosaur, dude.
I fought them off quite easily, but overall I am fairly convinced that I indeed ended up in a Jurassic Park. And all that in a magical forest inside a volcano. Seems like Tuesday to me. And yeah, not to mention the crazy plant life they have here. But after a while I finally spotted it, adamantite, just sitting inside a wall waiting to be mined. So with my thoughts that this is the right place confirmed, I finally set up a teleporter, just for safety, you know, and started mining as much adamantite as I possibly could. And it still felt quite rare to find. That is, until I somehow ended up in a lush cave within the underground forest biome itself. Here, the adamantite actually seemed extremely common. Well, I guess if I ever need more of it, I need to remember that it spawns in those caves the most. So I spent a good while digging here, mining whatever red ore I spotted. Finally, even using the backpack the way it was intended. And after I had enough, I just went back through the teleporter back home. Like nothing ever happened. I put all my furnaces to work here. I needed to get this adamantite to look like ingots as fast as possible. And after a while, it was done. But I had one more thing left to do before crafting the last armor in the game. I gathered my crops, but that wasn't enough to upgrade the farmer's bench yet. I needed redwood. And funny enough, I knew exactly where to find it. So using the power attacks as my transportation method, I went to the fall biome and cut down the trees with red leaves. Yeah, it's that simple. That is maple, which counts as redwood. And when I came back, I could finally upgrade the farmer's bench to level 5. And without wasting any time, I then also immediately crafted the chicken coop and put it in the chicken pen. And here we have it. No idea how it works or if it even works at all, but I have the chicken coop now. Interacting with it wasn't doing anything. I could not find any guides on the internet yet, so I guess for now I just have to use it as a decoration. But yeah, now it is the time to finally make the adamantite armor, the last piece of the puzzle for my own everyone's satisfaction. But not only the armor, but the sword too. And well, I went through every armor in the game. My journey of a gear junkie is over. I am officially indestructible, and the red really suits my perfectly normal blue skin. And sure, I am over 30 hours already, but I wanted to take out one more camp before I go, with my new sword, that is. So I found this little troll camp, or rather Trork, apparently, because that's how they are called. So I defeated everyone in the camp, including the Trork chieftain, which I guess is a form of a mini-boss, and the ultimate revenge for the first camp I ever encountered in Hytale. I still remember that carrot. But that's all the time I had for Hytale for now. I actually had a lot of fun with the game, more than I expected from such an early access. I managed to upgrade most of my important workbenches, I managed to build a little cozy farm, and most importantly, I managed to see most of what Hytale has to offer as of right now. Thank you all for watching, I hope you had a good time, and please check out my other videos. I appreciate every single one of you, so take care, and bye bye.